What is going on, guys? My name is Shadows and welcome back to another video. If you are hard stuck in Valorant and can't seem to rank up, you've come to the right video. I'm a top 2000 Jett and Reyna main who was originally placed in Silver 1. Another thing that I should mention is no, I did not come from CS. Valorant is my first PC FPS game that I really got into. No, I'm not showing you guys all this stuff to try to flex or to show off. I'm simply showing you guys this stuff so that you can see that it has worked for me and that it can also work for you too.
One's coming from the right.
One enemy remaining.
Nice shot.
10 seconds left.
Oh, you're so good, Jett.
Now, before we get into the guide, I want to break a few misconceptions that a lot of low elo and even some high elo players have. I want you guys to pause this video and just think to yourself, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about skill in Valorant? You can pause now to figure out your answer. I'm assuming most of you said aim or game sense. If you said either of those two, or mechanics or movement or anything like that, you aren't wrong, but I would say that aim and game sense combined make up about 50% of a good player. I don't see enough people really talking about this, and I want to break this down for you guys so you can really see. As you can see from my beautiful artwork here, I have made a pie chart of what I think are the 4 most important pieces of making a good player. In this video, I'll be going through and breaking down each of the 4 pieces of the pie chart and basically explaining them in depth and giving my opinions on them. I think Valorant is 50% mechanics and 50% mentality. There's too many subcategories, so I just summed it up to aim, game sense, confidence, and tilt. When I say aim, I'm talking about your raw aim that transfers from game to game. Game sense can mean a lot of things and is a pretty broad topic. Specifically, I'm talking about map knowledge, utility usage, passive aim, mechanics, movement, stuff like that. Over on the mentality side, the first thing that I mentioned is confidence, which is basically your mental and your thought process when you're taking a fight. I'll touch more on that a little bit later. And with tilt, I'm obviously talking about tilt queuing and why tilt queuing is bad and how you should learn to not tilt in your games. I think that about sums it up pretty well, so let's start with the first section. Like I mentioned earlier, when I say aim, I'm specifically talking about raw aim. There are 2 types of aiming. There's passive aim and there's raw aim. Passive aim refers to crosshair placement and basically predicting where you're going to get peeked from, and passive aim is different from game to game. So if you're coming from Fortnite or if you're coming from Apex, you're going to have to relearn passive aim because each game's passive aim is different. Raw aim refers to flicking, tracking, precision, just your raw aim skill. People use AimLab and Kovacs and third-party aim trainers to perfect their raw aim. I think that when trying to improve at Valorant, raw aim is a huge part of that. If you want to improve your raw aim, you could use AimLab or Kovacs or a third-party aim trainer, but me personally, I like to perfect this in Valorant itself. What I like to do is I go in the range and I use a method called the PREMS method. I got this method from another YouTuber named Saro. I think he makes very good tutorial content and you guys should check him out as well. Basically what PREMS stands for is practice bots, recoil control, easy bots, medium bots, and strafe and movement practice. Starting from the top of the list, for practice bots, what I do is basically just shoot the practice mode and it'll just be a bunch of still bots. What you're going to want to do is smoothly go from head to head without moving your mouse vertically at all, just getting nice, clean, smooth one taps. Basically, this is going to create muscle memory for you for being able to move your mouse horizontally while not moving it vertically and maintaining head level while transferring between targets. This helped me out a lot and really built the muscle memory that I have today. I like to use the Vandal for this just for the one taps, but I also highly recommend that you also do this with the Sheriff and also the Guardian because they are both one tap weapons and will drastically help improve your aim with your first shot accuracy. Next step is recoil control. What you're going to want to do for this is just head over to the big target on the right side of the range and turn off infinite ammo. What you're going to want to do for this drill is just spray your whole mag into the target while trying to keep as many bullets in the center as possible. I'd also recommend moving the target to different ranges just so that you get better practice at longer ranges with your spray control. I would never recommend spraying in Valorant. It's just too random, and I would use it only as a last resort, and this is basically just to get you accustomed with the recoil control and just getting better at controlling it for those desperate situations that you might get into. Now moving on to easy bots, what you're going to want to do is just set the bots to easy and use the sheriff or the guardian to one tap each bot as they pop up. You might think this is easy, and yes, that's the whole point. If you do hard bots, the bots are going to be showing up way too fast and you're going to end up building bad habits, and it's just not going to be helpful for you at all. Use the easy bots to build good habits and basically just to build your muscle memory. The whole point of this PREMS method is just to build up your muscle memory. I would also recommend with the easy bots doing them 30 while standing right next to the button, and then I would do another 30 while standing very far away just to get your precision at long distances up. Once you're finished with easy bots, I would move on to medium bots, and this is going to be a little bit harder, but again, this is just going to be really good for building those habits and building that muscle memory. After you've finished medium bots, I would do practice mode and do eliminate 50. Once you turn that on, go to the center of the range and just practice your counter strafing and stopping then shooting. Make sure you're running, stopping, and then hitting the clean one tap. This will really help solidate and build that muscle memory when you're swinging around a corner and being able to hit that crisp one tap. And that's pretty much it for the PREMS method. It's a nice little warm-up routine, and I do it pretty much every time I get on Valorant, and it has really helped me a lot. Another thing that you can do is just queue into a deathmatch and just play a few deathmatches. This is really good practice for your raw aim because they are all real players and they have real player movement. Being able to flick people and track people and all of that stuff is really helpful by playing deathmatch. I personally would recommend your warm-up routine being the PREMS method and then playing a few deathmatches before you queue into your games. That's pretty much all I have to say about raw aim, so let's move on to the game sense section. Now, this is a big section, but I'm going to try to keep everything together and make it nice and clean. The simple best way to build up game sense is to just play the game. You're not going to understand how the map works or how to play that agent unless you actually go in game and play that map with that agent. This is obviously easier said than done, but if you want to learn a new agent, I'd recommend watching a pro play that agent and trying to copy what they're doing. Same thing goes for game sense. Watching pros play is basically what got me to the place that I am now, and I think is really helpful. Now obviously you could sit there and watch tens one-tap people all day, but I personally would recommend watching people like Fnatic Boaster, who does these hour-long VOD reviews of all these pro matches and cuts down every single point in what he would do, what they did wrong, whether it was a good play or a bad play, and a really good deep analysis on these players. Another way of improving really fast is playing with someone who is a lot better than you. Even if you're bronze or silver, queuing with your friend who is gold or plat will help you improve. This is a good transition into my next point, which is I personally would not recommend solo queuing. This is weird for me to say because I solo queued all the way from plat 1 to immortal, but I think that it's not good. How I played my solo queue games out is I would play Killjoy and set up on a site and just sit backside and wait for the enemies to run into my setup and basically clean them up. I wasn't pressing the issue, I wasn't pushing into any fights, I wasn't making any aggressive plays. I was just playing super passive and just going for the win. Now this worked, I got to immortal by doing it, but once I was there, the players I was going up against were just too good and I just felt so behind because of how I got there. After I started playing a lot of Jet and Reyna and learning how to op and basically taking more fights and getting myself in the action, I started to improve way more than when I was just playing back for the win. Now obviously I'm not saying that you shouldn't main Killjoy or Sentinels. I think Sentinels are great agents to main, but I would recommend playing the game differently than how I did. Obviously, sometimes you're gonna have to anchor sight and just kind of play boring, but that's just part of the game. I would recommend getting really comfortable with 2 or 3 agents and basically maining those for your competitive games. Once you've got those agents that you like, I think a really good way to improve your game sense as well is learn little tips and tricks that you can do on each map with those agents. For example, with Jet, what I like doing a lot is using her verticality. How I like to entry on Icebox B site is I updraft on top of this box here, I glide across, and then I'll also updraft on top of yellow, and then from here you could actually dash onto the default box and jump straight onto top site and rush into kitchen. So while the whole team is rotating, thinking that you guys are pushing B, you're already in kitchen waiting to take a fight. This is stuff that I never learned from solo queuing. I only started learning this stuff once I pushed myself out of my comfort zone and started going for plays and doing things that I wouldn't dare do before. If you want to get better at Valorant, you can't be scared to try new things, which perfectly leads me to my next point, which is confidence. If you want to succeed in Valorant, you have to be confident. Confidence is key. If you go into a game worrying that you're gonna bottom frag or you're not gonna perform, I'm sorry, but you aren't going to perform. Being the aggressor and going for those unpredictable plays is what's helped me become so much of a better player. If you have low confidence, I recommend stacking with your friends. If you're in a 5 stack or a 4 stack of all people that you know, you won't be pressured to do well, and you'll end up having more fun, and you'll end up improving more at the game as well. I also don't like solo queuing too, because there's a lot of toxic people that can really bring down your mental and just make you play like shit. If you do solo queue and someone's being toxic, I highly recommend you just mute that person, because having them out of your ear is way more beneficial than the comms that they're going to give, which are probably not going to be beneficial anyways. This brings me to my last point, which is tilting. If you're tilted and you've had like 3 bad games in a row, I would just take a break and stop playing to get a mental reset. Continuing to queue when you're tilted is going to get you nowhere, and you're probably just going to keep throwing your rank. Personally, I'm a pretty calm and collected player, and I never get toxic, and I try to tilt as least as I can, but sometimes after a big loss streak, you just have to take a break. And if you get tilted, don't take that out on your teammates. The thing that I hate the most about Valorant is toxic teammates, and I don't think people that are toxic and rude towards each other in game should be playing the game. Everyone's just there to have fun and improve, so don't make that experience worse for others by being immature. Just to quickly recap everything that I've touched on in this video, the first thing I mentioned is raw aim and how important raw aim is for improvement. The next thing I talked about is game sense and how to improve your overall knowledge of the game by watching pros, playing with people that are better than you, and just basically investing more time in the game. Next, I talked about confidence and how important it is to be confident in this game if you want to succeed. And my last point was about tilting and how taking a mental reset is necessary, and tilt queuing will get you nowhere. I hope this video helps you in some way or another. I know I touched on these topics kind of broadly and didn't really go into any specifics because I really don't want this to be like an hour-long video of me just rambling on. So if you have any questions about anything that I talked about in this video, drop it down in the comments below and I will help you out, I promise. If there's a video idea that you have for me that you want to recommend and something that you want to know more about, I can definitely make a video on that. Just let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you guys if you've made it all the way to the end of this video. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, don't forget to drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy content like this. I apologize for my lack of uploads, but I just got the motivation to upload this video, so I just want to see how this does and if this gets received well. Thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day.